Hashirama. Hashirama Senju, known as the First Hokage and hailed as the God of Shinobi, was the most powerful figure of his era. As the head of the Senju Clan, he played a central role in ending the constant wars between ninja clans. His vision of peace led to the formation of the Hidden Leaf Village, which he co-founded with his childhood rival, Madara Uchiha. Hashirama's leadership became the foundation of the shinobi world's first organized system, where children could grow and train away from constant conflict. This marked the beginning of a new age. Hashirama's strength came from his unique ability to use wood release, Mokuton, a kekkei genkai that combined earth and water chakra natures. This technique allowed him to create forests, control terrain, and most importantly, suppress the chakra of tailed beasts. He could restrain creatures as powerful as the Nine Tails without needing external help. His wood release was not just a tool for battle, it was also used to build the very structures of Konoha, blending power with creation. Another reason for Hashirama's dominance was his Sage Mode. By drawing natural energy into his body, Hashirama could drastically enhance his physical abilities, perception, and durability. His version of Sage Mode was completely balanced, allowing him to fight for long periods while maintaining his strength. When combined with his wood release, Sage Mode turned Hashirama into an unmatched force, capable of taking on multiple tailed beasts at once. Hashirama's chakra reserves were enormous. He could heal from injuries without weaving hand signs, a trait no one else in his generation shared. This natural regeneration made him almost impossible to wear down in prolonged battles. His stamina and recovery allowed him to face Madara Uchiha repeatedly, even when Madara used the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the power of the Nine Tails. The influence of Hashirama's DNA extended long after his death. Scientists like Orochimaru and Danzo use samples of his cells to enhance their own power or create new weapons, such as artificial wood release users and the White Zetsu army. His body became the foundation for various forbidden experiments throughout the series. Characters like Yamato, who was created using Hashirama's cells, show how valuable and dangerous his genetic legacy is. Hashirama also formed a political alliance through his marriage to Mito Uzumaki. The Uzumaki clan was known for their massive chakra and sealing techniques. Mito became the first Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, sealing the beast within herself using a powerful Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. This union between Senju and Uzumaki created a bloodline of exceptional strength and vitality, eventually producing descendants like Tsunade. Hashirama's role as a symbol of peace was deeply tied to his belief in unity. He dreamed of a world where children no longer needed to fight on battlefields. Even after his death, his ideals continued through the Will of Fire, a philosophy passed on by future Hokage. This ideology shaped the structure of the Hidden Leaf and influenced how leaders protected the village and its people. Hashirama was more than a warrior. He was a builder, both of villages and of values. His rivalry with Madara was not just personal, it represented two conflicting ideologies: peace through cooperation versus peace through control. When Madara rejected Hashirama's dream and tried to use the power of the Uchiha to dominate the village, the two clashed in the Valley of the End. This battle ended with Hashirama's victory and the presumed death of Madara, though the consequences of their conflict echoed for generations. Before we jump to the next part, we want to take a moment to thank you all for your incredible support. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and every single one of you makes this journey even more exciting. If you love Naruto as much as we do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this video to help us reach even more fans. Your support keeps us going. Now, Tobarama. Tobarama Senju, the second Hokage and younger brother of Hashirama, was a master of both power and policy. While Hashirama dreamed of peace, Tobarama worked on building systems to make that peace sustainable. After his brother's death, he assumed the position of Hokage and continued the development of the Hidden Leaf Village with a pragmatic, sometimes cold mindset. He was less idealistic than Hashirama, but no less committed to protecting the village. Tobarama Tobirama's strength as a leader came not only from his powerful jutsu, but from his deep understanding of how a shinobi society should function. Tobirama was the most skilled water release user of his time. Unlike most shinobi, he didn't need a nearby water source to perform water-based techniques. His chakra control allowed him to generate water out of nothing, creating large-scale attacks in any environment. Techniques like Water Dragon Bullet and Water Wall became more than just tools. They were tactical responses crafted for any battlefield. Tobarama elevated water release into an art of versatility and efficiency. However, his most famous technique is the Flying Thunder God, Hiraishin no Jutsu. This space-time ninjutsu allowed him to teleport instantly to any location marked by his seal. Unlike simple speed-based movement, this technique made Tobirama impossible to predict in combat. He could strike from any angle, retreat from danger, or launch surprise attacks within fractions of a second. This jutsu became the foundation of modern teleportation techniques, later used and refined by Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. Tobarama also created Edo Tensei, the reanimation jutsu. With this forbidden technique, he could bring the dead back to life using a living sacrifice, allowing him to control powerful warriors from the past. This jutsu was designed for war, not resurrection, and it gave Tobarama a way to overwhelm enemies using sheer numbers and immortal fighters. While Orochimaru and Kabuto would later expand and perfect this technique, its origins lie with Tobirama's cold, tactical approach to warfare. Beyond combat, Tobarama made lasting structural reforms. He founded the Ninja Academy, setting a standard system for training young shinobi. This allowed children to learn safely, instead of growing up on battlefields like he and Hashirama did. He also established the Anbu, an elite black ops division responsible for covert missions, assassinations, and village security. The creation of the Konoha military police force was also his doing, though controversially, he assigned this role to the Uchiha clan. While this gave the Uchiha a position of authority, it also served to isolate and monitor them. Tobirama believed in balancing power, even if it meant making political decisions that bred resentment. Tobirama's relationship with the Uchiha was one of caution. Having fought them during the Warring States period, he viewed their emotional volatility and Sharingan as dangerous. Though he respected their strength, he always kept a strategic distance. His policies contributed to the eventual divide between the Uchiha and the rest of the village. While some viewed his actions as discriminatory, Tobarama claimed his decisions were about protecting the village, not targeting a specific clan. Despite his harsh methods, Tobarama passed on leadership to a student he trusted, Hiruzen Sarutobi. This decision showed Tobirama's belief in merit and vision over bloodline. He wanted someone who could balance power with wisdom, a leader capable of guiding the village into the next generation. Even in his final moments, Tobirama sacrificed himself to save his team during a mission, proving that his loyalty to the village came before everything else. Itama. Itama Senju was the middle brother among Hashirama, Tobarama, and Kawarama. His story isn't about legendary power or groundbreaking jutsu, but about the emotional cost of war in the Warring States era. He lived and died during one of the most brutal periods in shinobi history, a time when children were forced to fight on the front lines, and clans like Senju and Uchiha fought endlessly over land, pride, and survival. Itama's death was not only a personal loss to Hashirama, it became a turning point in the Senju legacy. Itama represents a generation of young shinobi who never had the chance to grow up. Like his brothers, he was born into a world of violence. Despite being just a child, he carried the burden of clan duty. He was expected to kill, survive, and uphold the honor of the Senju name. But during a mission against the Uchiha, he was ambushed and killed. His body left on the battlefield like many other nameless victims of the era. We are not shown his abilities, nor are there records of his techniques. However, as a member of the Senju bloodline, Itama likely inherited strong chakra reserves and had the potential to master advanced ninjutsu. His death at a young age meant that this potential was never realized, and his name faded into the background of shinobi history. But within his family, and especially to Hashirama, his loss was unforgettable. What makes Itama important isn't what he did in battle, but how his death affected those who survived. Hashirama, already weary of war, began to question the endless cycle of revenge and bloodshed. Watching his younger brother fall to a conflict driven by clan pride pushed him further toward his dream of peace. Kawarama Senju was the youngest of the Senju brothers, and also the first among them to die in the chaos of the Warring States era. He appeared only briefly in a flashback, but his death left a lasting imprint on the early philosophy of the Senju clan's future leader, Hashirama. Kawarama's short life reflected the brutal reality of his time, a period when even children were expected to fight and die for their clan. He was only about 7 years old when he was sent into battle. Like many children born into powerful shinobi families, Kawarama didn't get a chance to experience peace or stability. His death came during a skirmish with one of the Senju clan's rival families. The scene is not depicted in detail, but the emotional fallout was significant. Kawarama's body is shown being brought back to the Senju compound, wrapped in cloth, another casualty in a war that spared no one. Not even the youngest. No jutsu, no feats, and no battles are recorded for Kawarama. But as a direct descendant of the Senju bloodline, he undoubtedly held great potential. His genetics alone, coming from the same lineage as Hashirama and Tobarama, suggests that he may have gone on to become a capable shinobi. However, that potential was never allowed to grow. What matters more than his combat ability is the reaction his death triggered within the Senju household. The emotional weight of Kawarama's death sparked a major conflict between Hashirama and their father, Butsuma Senju. Hashirama, already questioning the ethics of child soldiers, confronted Butsuma about the morality of sending children to die. This was one of the earliest signs that Hashirama was beginning to reject the old ways of clan warfare. Kawarama's sacrifice became a symbol of what needed to change, a reason to move away from senseless violence and toward the possibility of peace. Butsuma Senju was the father of Hashirama, Tobarama, Itama, and Kawarama, and the leader of the Senju clan during the brutal Warring States era. He appeared briefly in the flashbacks shown in manga chapters 622 to 624 and in Naruto Shippuden episode 368. As a character, Butsuma represents the old world of shinobi, one where strength, strategy, and sacrifice were the only paths to survival. Although his specific abilities were never shown in detail, Butsuma was clearly a powerful and capable ninja. Leading one of the most feared clans of the time required both combat strength and ruthless decision-making. He coordinated battles against the Uchiha and other rival clans, and raised his sons under the harsh principles of war. In a time when shinobi clans were mercenary families hired to kill for contracts, Butsuma's worldview was shaped entirely by survival and dominance. One of Butsuma's defining moments came during the missions where he brought his young sons onto the battlefield. His decision to involve Kawarama and Itama in real combat missions showed how deeply embedded the culture of violence was in his leadership. When Kawarama died, Butsuma did not show regret. Instead, he viewed the loss as an expected price of war. This sparked conflict with Hashirama, who began to question the legitimacy of the cycle of hatred and bloodshed. But Butsuma was not portrayed as evil. His actions came from necessity, shaped by the era. But Suma believed in preparation and power. He also demonstrated moments of strategic thinking. In one key scene, he sent Tobarama to flank Madara Uchiha during a battle, showing trust in Tobarama's skill and judgment. This small act hinted at his tactical experience, even if it lacked emotional warmth. Tsunade. Tsunade, the fifth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, stood as one of the most influential descendants of the Senju Clan. As the granddaughter of Hashirama Senju, she inherited both the bloodline's natural strength and the legacy of leadership. Her rise to power came at a time when the village was in deep crisis. Following the deaths of the third Hokage and the invasion of Konoha by Orochimaru, it was Tsunade who stepped forward and stabilized the village with both her medical expertise and unshakable will. Known as the legendary Sucker and one of the legendary Sannin alongside Jiraiya and Orochimaru, Tsunade's strength came from both her combat ability and her unmatched medical skills. She revolutionized the role of medical ninja in warfare. Her teachings led to the standardization of having a medical nin on every shinobi squad, drastically reducing casualties across future battles. Her personal healing technique, the Creation Rebirth, Strength of 100 Seal, allowed her to regenerate damage almost instantly by releasing stored chakra from the seal on her forehead. This made her nearly impossible to kill in combat, unless defeated in a single, overwhelming blow. Beyond her medical ninjutsu, Tsunade also possessed extreme physical strength. With a single punch, she could fracture the ground or launch massive summons like Katsuyu with ease. Her raw power was a clear product of her Senju bloodline, but she refined it through chakra control rather than brute force alone. She used precision strikes that maximized damage with minimum effort, demonstrating a balance between raw might and technical skill. Her influence extended far beyond the battlefield. Tsunade was the mentor to Sakura Haruno, passing down her medical knowledge and physical training. This ensured that the medical legacy of the Senju would continue into the next generation. During her tenure as Hokage, Tsunade also invested in rebuilding Konoha's infrastructure, reinforcing the importance of support systems over sheer military power. Noaki. Noaki, the younger brother of Tsunade and grandnephew of Hashirama Senju, was a symbol of youthful ambition within the Senju lineage. Born into a time when the scars of the past were still fresh, but the ideals of peace were taking form, Noaki embodied the will of fire in its most innocent form. His dream was simple but profound: to become Hokage and protect the village, just like his legendary ancestor. Despite his young age, Noaki showed traits typical of the Senju clan: bravery, conviction, and an innate sense of duty. While his specific abilities and jutsu were never documented, his heritage alone suggested great potential. With the blood of Hashirama flowing through him and Tsunade as his sister, Noaki stood at the intersection of expectation and hope. He was a young shinobi driven not by personal gain, but by a deep desire to serve and protect. Noaki was killed during a mission when a trap exploded, a casualty of the harsh realities of the ninja world. He died before ever getting the chance to prove himself in battle. His passing left a deep scar on Tsunade, who had given him her grandfather's necklace, a symbol of her belief in his dream and potential. That same necklace would later be given to Dan, and eventually Naruto, tying Nowaki's legacy into a larger chain of inherited will. Nowaki's death was not just a personal tragedy, it represented the fragility of hope in a world dominated by war and loss. For Tsunade, it became a turning point. She began to doubt the path of the shinobi and the role of Hokage itself. The loss of Noaki, and later Dan, pushed her into years of isolation and bitterness. But ultimately, his dream would live on, shaping her actions and perspective once she accepted the Hokage mantle herself. Toka Senju represents one of the lesser-known yet intriguing figures of the Senju clan. While her appearances are confined to data books and extended materials rather than the core manga or anime, her inclusion serves a specific purpose: to show that the Senju legacy was not defined solely by brute strength or elemental dominance. She lived during the same era as Hashirama and Tobarama, marking her as a contemporary of the clan's golden age. Though her exact familial connection to Hashirama and Tobarama remains undefined, it's clear she was a trusted and capable shinobi within the clan. Her most distinctive trait lies in her mastery of genjutsu, a rare skill among Senju, who were generally known for their proficiency in ninjutsu and physical prowess. This deviation in specialization allowed Toka to stand out, suggesting that the clan possessed a broader spectrum of talents than typically portrayed. In a period dominated by raw chakra power and large-scale confrontations, the effectiveness of genjutsu reflected both strategic finesse and psychological insight. Toka's proficiency in this field positioned her as a counterbalance to the physically dominant shinobi of her era. While details of her battles are not recorded, she is acknowledged as someone capable of going toe-to-toe with high-level ninja of her time, a notable feat considering the caliber of her peers. Mito Uzumaki holds a critical yet often understated position in the lineage and legacy of the Senju clan. Though born into the Uzumaki clan, her marriage to Hashirama Senju formed one of the most significant political and spiritual alliances in shinobi history. Through this union, the Uzumaki and Senju clans, two families renowned for their extraordinary vitality, chakra, and sealing techniques, became deeply connected, both symbolically and strategically. Mito's most defining role was becoming the first Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. This decision was not merely a tactical move, it was a necessity in the aftermath of Hashirama's battle against Kawarama. With the Nine Tails captured, Hashirama needed a vessel powerful enough to contain its immense chakra. Mito, a seasoned kunoichi of the Uzumaki, possessed the sealing arts and chakra resilience required for the task. Her ability to suppress the beast set a precedent for future Jinchuriki, and marked the beginning of Konoha's control over tailed beasts. Mito managed to achieve a stable coexistence with the Nine Tails. Her guidance would later influence future generations, particularly Kushina Uzumaki, who inherited not only the same role, but also the method of emotional suppression Mito had developed. By channeling love and inner peace, Mito was able to hold Kurama without succumbing to hatred, a rare feat that reflected both her mental fortitude and deep understanding of chakra control. Though Mito was not a frontline combatant in the traditional sense, her presence in Konoha's formation was foundational. She brought with her the formidable sealing techniques of the Uzumaki, contributing an essential layer of defense and utility that the Senju lacked. Thanks for watching till the end. See ya.